It was harder than I thought it was gonna be. 2 by 2 miles ain't nothing to play with. Today is essentially the last speed day before I head off to Chicago. Today is a mixed threshold day where I have 2 by 2 miles and go into some 400-meter reps. The temptation is to push a little harder and to squeeze as much as I can out of this workout, but truth be told, the fitness is already there. I just need to express it in a way to hold continuity. For Chicago, today I think I'm going to rock the Li-ning Feidian Ultra 6s. I wore these once. The reason why I'm iffy on these shoes is because of how narrow it is on my left foot, where this inside was kind of bugging me a little bit towards the end of my runs. But that was the only thing that was holding me back from racing Colfax in it. So I'm gonna try it again. That was my first wear, and I'm gonna see how it ultimately does. Because I really like how those shoes feel once I get going, and I think that it would be a good option for Chicago, seeing how flat Chicago is. So I'm gonna test those out today. But other than that, this isn't the craziest workout. I've done a 2 by 3 mile on this block that was absolutely brutal. I actually did the 2 by 3 mile in those shoes. So 2 by 2 miles, I know I got it in the bag. The one thing that I don't want to do that I did with most of my workouts is push faster than I need to. My sleep was absolutely abysmal last night. So bad. Maybe that goes into Chicago half marathon prep as well, knowing that I'm going to sleep bad there. I'm so tempted to just do the workout later in the day, but I'd rather knock it out, have the rest of the day to kind of chill for the most part. Use this as an opportunity to work through some, I don't know if I want to call it fatigue, but definitely terrible sleep. I know people in New York had terrible sleep last night too, after the Knicks one. Well, maybe they slept good because of the Knicks one. But that city was on fire yesterday. I was looking at highlights that were going on across the city, and oh my goodness, if the Knicks win the championship, oh my gosh, that city's gonna be insane. It's gonna be crazy. All right, well, let me get my fueling in, and I'll see y'all out there. Just pulled up to Wash Park. I figured that this would be the best place to get this work in. Of course, the Feidian Ultras. Again, nervous about this medial side. I think this is the medial side. Look at me using words that I don't really know. Just gonna see how the inside of my left foot is on this workout. I think I'm gonna pop the top. Oh, wait a second. And I have heard people say that it is something about like tying the shoes and getting the right lockdown on these, which I don't really think is a problem. But I can see, like towards the forefoot, that it could be a little bit better. Okay, keep that there. Yeah, even now I could kind of feel it just standing. I'll try to show y'all what I'm talking about here in a second. Alright. So look, just here standing, you can kind of see like this fold right here. It's like hanging over. Like later in the miles, that gets kind of annoying to deal with. Yeah, these shoes are just so weird to me. And I want to run in them so bad. Yeah, it's so hard to describe how these shoes feel. But let's get into the details of this workout, just so I can remind myself of the splits that I need to hit today. All right, 1.5 mile warm up, easy pace, then do some like drills. Then I'm gonna do 2 100-meter kind of strides, kind of get a feel for the pace before getting into it. Then 2 miles with 2-minute rest. What's the exact pace that I need to be hitting? Am I aiming for? Let's see. Just to make sure. So I'm aiming for 7:35 to 7:40. Okay, that makes sense. 7:35 to 7:40. Then the 400 meters are anywhere between 7 minutes and 7:10, with a 1.5 minute rest between, and then a cool down of 1.5 miles. Shirt is definitely coming off. Some people are running in hoodies. What are you doing? Good morning. How you doing today?
Good, how are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Yeah, you too. The question is, clockwise or counterclockwise today? I think I'm gonna go counterclockwise, but I always go counterclockwise. The lockdown does feel super weird in these. I mean, these shoes just feel weird in general, but I just wish there was a better lockdown in the forefoot, because it does feel kind of loose there. But we're about to get this working. Let's go. Everybody's going clockwise, so I'm gonna go counterclockwise. I think that means the first 2 mile set's going to be a little bit more difficult, because I'll be going uphill slightly, but buck the trend. Again, during this workout, not looking to prove anything, just want to settle in to a nice pace that I'll hopefully be running for Chicago. All right, 2 minutes. So far, these shoes feel amazing. No issues whatsoever. But I got 2 minutes before I get into my 100 meters, and then we into the workout. All right, game time, game time. too fast. Yeah, that was too fast. Kind of why I picked these shoes though, for wanting to run Chicago in them. It's just fast. Even during the warm-up, I was like 10 seconds off of my goal pace for the work. Again, too fast. And it could be a double-edged sword using something like this for Chicago, aka coming out too hot and burning up by the time I hit the back end of the race. But let's get into this workout. 33 seconds. Low-key should have brought a towel with the amount that I'd be sweating. Again, reps should be 735 to 740. Probably aim for that 738. Feel pretty good with that. All right, 3, 2, 1. All right, start slow. Let's work into it. Not trying to prove fitness here, just trying to dial in that half marathon pace. Set 1, 7 minutes and 31 seconds. Little hop, probably about 7 out of 10 effort. Felt pretty good though. One set to go, I'm gonna walk it out. Let's go. Set 2. Oh, that was tough. 7:31, back to back. That was harder than I thought it was gonna be. About 2 miles ain't nothing to play with. Got 400 meters next. Aiming for 7 minutes to 7:10 for each rep. Kind of cooked, and I definitely should have brought a towel to wipe my eyes. Lesson learned, but let's get it. First rep was too fast, clearly. Set 3. First 2 were a little hot. Just can't help myself. One more set and we're done. Last set. Let's make this a good one. That was my fastest one. Stupid. Like I said, not trying to prove fitness, just trying to express it. And I definitely was pushing a bit, so shame on me. Great workout though. That was tougher than I thought it was gonna be. Mainly because I made it tougher. But great work. Now I just gotta cool down
Gonna probably cut it a little short. Definitely should have brought a towel. All right, we're gonna call it there. Great workout. Woo! Another run in the books. Pretty much my final speed session of Chicago is done. Overall, I felt like it was a 7 out of 10 effort, though that second rep of the 2x2 miles did get a little difficult. But for the most part, it was a good workout. So let's go ahead and get into the stats. All right, a total of 8.48 miles, and good thing I'm not OCD, or that might bug me a little bit that I didn't get to 8.5. But I almost prefer to come up a little bit shorter or a little over. Like it would have had to been like 8.52. Anyways, average pace was 8 minutes and 58 seconds. Average heart rate was 153. Elevation gain was 128. Again, for the most part, I felt good. 153 is indicative of that, but when you are taking breaks, I noticed my heart rate would drop really fast to around like 133, which was pretty awesome to see that kind of recovery. But for the first 2x2 mile set, I came in at 7 minutes and 31 seconds. Average heart rate was 161, which is, in terms of the heart rate, is ideal. But I wanted to hit like 738, so that's a little fast. And that's, for the most part, been my trend for this entire block, is like just going a little bit too fast and biting off a little bit more than I can chew. The good news about that is it hasn't affected me in terms of my actual like runs. Like all of my long runs have been pretty on the nose. I haven't pushed too fast. And then even in the Colfax half, I pretty much paced that perfectly. All right, and the second 2x2 mile rep was 7:31 as well. Literally milliseconds difference between first set and second set. So I really kind of locked into a rhythm and locked into a pace. However, on the second rep, my average heart rate was 167. That's kind of a big swing. Now you can see how much I'm working. At this point, I'm what? 3.5, like 5 miles in. I was thinking like, oh, if I was feeling this race day, this would not be great at all. But nonetheless, got those in. I almost want to see how this breaks up. That's what did it. So the first mile of the second set was 7:34, which isn't bad. That's 163. Again, if that was a 138, then that's probably like a 161 heart rate. But that second mile was 7 minutes and 28 seconds, 7 minutes 29 if you want to round up. And that brought my heart rate up to 171. So I really was pushing on that second mile when I didn't have to. I could have just settled into the same pace. For the set one, I want to go back and talk about the individual miles. It was a pretty even split. First mile was at a 7:32 pace. My heart rate was 157. And then the second mile was at 7 minutes and 31 seconds. Heart rate was at 165. So that's pretty good. Again, should have been 7:38. But well, it's neither here or there. And for the 400 meters that followed, all of them were faster than pace. The first rep was at 6 minutes and 56 seconds, which is the closest to where I was supposed to be at 7 minutes to 7:10. That was at a 161 heart rate. The second 400 meter set was 651, which is 161 average heart rate. The third set was 652, which was at a 162 heart rate. And then the last set was at a 637, which was at a 160. Overall, I ran 7 minutes and 23 second average pace for all my working sets, and my average heart rate was 163, and that was for a total of 5 miles, which is good in terms of my heart rate, I would say. Not good because 7 minutes and 23 seconds, that's just fast. Um, but I feel like I hit the session pretty good for the most part. I just have to be mindful that I cannot go out that hot. Another thing I wanted to discuss was the shoes. Now, these shoes did really good. They did really good for me, and I truly did not notice this inside kind of rubbing that I felt the first time until I got to the cool down set. Literally, I was maybe on the last like half a mile, and then I could feel it, and I was just like, oh no. I would still have 5 miles to go, or 4.5, or something like that in the race. And is it because I'm going slow that I'm starting to feel this? Or am I just getting foot fatigue for being in the shoe for as long as I have been in the shoe? So I think it's worth the long run test on Saturday to see if it was because I was going slow or what. But I did notice that at the end. But for the most part, this was an awesome shoe. It locked me into pace, made my paces feel a little bit easier, was very snappy. I would say the biggest trade-off between this and the Puma Deviate Nitro Elite 4s is this is just much heavier. Like, this is a much heavier shoe than the Pumas. But there were points where I was just like, oh, this is actually a pretty good, this will actually be a solid option. So it's still up in the air whether I'm going to go with this or not. The rubbing is still a concern on the inside, but again, I don't know if it's because I was cooling down and doing much slower paces. But for all of the working sets, I honestly did not even think about the rubbing at all. I was just thinking about slowing down a little bit because it was so easy to go faster than my paces. But that's another run in the books. If you haven't, follow me on Strava and subscribe to my channel. Helps out a ton. Until next time.